Hello, good evening. This is the Al 24 News. I'm Abdurrahman Kashur, and this is our main headlines. President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, states that Algeria won't tolerate any interference in its domestic affairs. Plus, in an exclusive interview with the Algerian Foreign Minister and the National Community Abroad, Ramtal Amamra clarified that the goal behind the Ambassadors and Councils Conference is to talk about the situation in Algeria. Final risk of Ethiopia descending into widened civil war is only too real. Hello again. First, in our top stories, President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, affirmed that Algeria will not tolerate, as part of its bilateral relations with its European partners, any interference in its domestic affairs, emphasizing the necessity of establishing ties based on mutual respect and equal sovereignty of countries. Let's have a listen.
وفي علاقتها الثنائية مع شركائنا.
As part of its bilateral relations with its European partners, Algeria will not tolerate any interference in its domestic affairs and will remain willing to establish ties based on the mutual respect and total commitment to respecting the principle of sovereign quality of states.
والالتزام الكامل.
In an exclusive meeting with the Al 24 News channel, Algerian Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Ramtal Amamra, states that Algeria is organizing this conference and one of kind and aiming behind to reinforce the national security of the country by binding strong relations with all countries, especially neighboring ones. Let's have a listen. Mr. Minister, because we are an international channel, now we will try to switch to English for a couple of words, because we are the first TV channel in the Maghreb region, our viewers from the whole world. In a couple of words, what would you say about this conference?
First and foremost, I'm quite happy that Algeria has an international voice that helps us to bring our message to the rest of the world.
Inshallah.
So I am part of it now, and I am glad to contribute my share to make our voice heard. So this conference is quite important. It is taking place at the initiative of President Tebboune, who has decided that Algeria should make more contributions to help build a new future for the whole mankind. We believe that there is a room for contributions on the part of a country like Algeria. We have been playing such a role in the past. We believe that Algeria has accumulated wisdom, experience, commitment, and also a kind of acceptance on the part of a number of international partners, acceptance of the role that Algeria can play in bringing peace and stability, not only in our region, but much beyond our region, as we have shown that in the past in helping to settle a number of major international crises. So I think that the combination between the new role that the Algerian diplomacy is called to play globally and regionally, and also the fact that now we have a voice that can be heard far away from home is quite an important development, and we congratulate you for that.
Thank you so much. I really do
Most
appreciate
welcome.
every single word you have said.
Most
Much
welcome.
appreciated. Thank you
Most
so much. North African Petroleum and the Gas Industry Exhibition and Conference opens its doors for the 10th edition with the presence of numerous Algerian officials in industry and energy sectors. The opening was with the presence of 480 countries and exhibitors. Osama Iyadi reports.
The 10th edition of North African Petroleum and Gas Industry Exhibition and Conference, NAPEC 2021, opened Monday at the Convention Center of Oran, Mohammed bin Hamad, with the participation of 480 exhibitors representing 40 countries.
Sincerely thank the organizers of the NAPEC for the efforts they deployed to organize this important event and for having given us the opportunity to be part of it. The NAPEC provides each time the forum that allows the different guests most of whom are directly or indirectly involved in the oil sale.
The opening ceremony was attended by the Secretary General of Ministry of Energy and Mines, Abdelkarim Awisi, the President and General Director of Sonatrach, Tawfiq Hakar, the Director General of Sonalgaz, Shahr Bulkhras, and the General Director of the National Agency of the Valuation of Hydrocarbon Resources, Nordin Daudi. This international professional fair for energy and hydrocarbon sector is the largest in the Mediterranean and Africa. It covers strategic directions and technical approaches and discusses the main challenges and opportunities in the energy sector. Parallel with the exhibition, seminars were programmed for participants to discuss energy in North Africa, resources, challenges, and opportunities. In addition to identifying the position of Algerian gas in the global and local market, great opportunities and challenges for the future of energy sector in Algeria, and the future strategies and investments according to the new market conditions in North Africa. The exhibition will also address the most important projects and upcoming opportunities in the region, in addition to regional development and the future of liquefied natural gas industry and marketing. NAPEC is the largest international professional fair for hydrocarbons and energy in Africa and Mediterranean region, which is dedicated to North African market products, services, and technologies related to petroleum and gas activities.
This event represents an opportunity for Sonatrach to discuss with all the actors of industry the questions which are confronted with today. The world is experiencing an upheaval in energy markets with consequences for the economy in general. We are recording a decline in investments, project cancellation across the entire hydrocarbon chain. We are witnessing a reconfiguration of the global energy landscape. We in Sonatrach have chosen to rely on two major axes, the partnership and the promotion of local content.
The demonstration is an opportunity to exchange experiences in the field of hydrocarbons and energy. It was also reported that the 2020 edition of the exhibition was cancelled due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Representative of the European Union in the Security Council called on the Zionist entity to stop settlement operation, expressing their concern over the occupation's designation of 6 Palestinian human rights organizations as terrorist entities. Zara Furjani reports.
The representatives of the European Union expressed serious concern in the Security Council about the expanded settlement operations by the Zionist entity on the occupied Palestinian territories. The ambassadors of Ireland, Estonia, France, Norway, and Albania agreed during the UN meeting to stop settlement construction in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Representatives of the European Union stressed that settlement construction is inconsistent with UN Security Council resolutions. The Irish ambassador said that settlement operations are illegal under international law and constitute an obstacle to achieving peace in the region, calling on the entity to immediately retract its recent announcements to build new settlement housing units.
Settlements are illegal under international law and constitute a major obstacle to the achievement of the two-state solution and a just, lasting and comprehensive peace between the parties.
The UN participants also expressed their grumbling about the occupation's classification of Palestinian human rights organizations as terrorist entities, stressing that their governments carefully study these classifications and affirmed that no credible evidence or conclusive proof was presented. The Palestinian ambassador in the United Nations in New York, Riyad Mansour, welcomed the meeting and its outcomes, appealing to member states to take concrete steps to implement these decisions.
United Nations envoy to Yemen Hans Grundberg arrived to Taz, west of Yemen, as his first visit to the city in nearly 7 years, where implementation of agreements on Taz is still undecided. Yemeni Foreign Minister Ahmed Awad bin Mubarak discussed with the U.S. Special Envoy to Yemen, Timothy Lenderkin, the situation in Marib, efforts to end the war and achieve peace in Yemen. Asma reports.
United Nations envoy to Yemen, Hans Grandberg, arrived in the city of Taz as his first visit to Yemen in nearly 7 years.
I am very honored to be here with you today in Taiz. We discussed issues facing Taiz, but also the situation elsewhere in Yemen, and where we see military operations causing significant casualties, which are exacerbating the humanitarian situation and undermining peace efforts.
The importance of Marib, considered as the most important stronghold of government and headquarters of Ministry of Defense, in addition to its ownership of oil and gas wealth, which makes its battle essential between the army forces of the internationally recognized government and the Houthi group, will undoubtedly form a decisive change in the balance of power and shape of current political equation in the country.
This visit represents big importance to solve Yemeni issue, considering Taz as the most important stronghold of all solutions to Yemeni problems.
In a related context, Yemeni authorities called on United Nations to intervene in order to reopen main roads leading to Taz, which have been closed for years, while residents of the city are awaiting fruitful results for visit of the United Nations envoy. It seems that rapid progress of Houthis on several fronts accelerated international visits to Yemen, visits supported by international demands, which did not succeed in ending the war that has been ongoing in the country for years.
The African Union and the United States of America have announced that there is a little chance of ending the current fighting between the Ethiopians and militias of Tigrayan Popular Liberation Front. More to be clarified, Asma again.
Concerns around the world about fight in Ethiopia keep increasing, with regional and Western forces asking for an urgent ceasefire, especially after a big fight between Tigrayan crowds and federal troops, and their progress reaching capital Addis Ababa this week. The African Union and the United States have declared there is little chance of ending fight in Ethiopia, while the United Nations has warned the risk of Ethiopia sliding into civil war. The African Union's envoy to Horn of Africa, former Nigerian President Obasanjo, and the United Nations Political Affairs Coordinator, Rosemary DiCarlo, briefed the Security Council.
And I welcome today the participation of President Obasanjo, African Union High Representative for the Horn of Africa. Mr. President, the year-long conflict in the Tigray region of Ethiopia has reached disastrous proportions. The fighting places the future of the country and its people, as well as the stability of the wider Horn of Africa region, in grave uncertainty.
Speaking from Ethiopia, Obasanjo said by the end of the week we hope to have a program that shows how Tigrayan forces can allow humanitarian assistances to access and withdraw forces to satisfy all parties.
More than 7 million people need humanitarian assistance. Efforts to mobilize assistance in Tigray, where more than 5 million people need food, and an estimated 400,000 people are living in famine-like conditions, continue to be undermined by an inability to move cash, fuel, and supplies into the region.
The UN estimates that 400,000 people in Tigray are living in famine conditions after a year of war.
The world is in danger of heat waves caused either naturally or man-made. A double fire started in India car unit causing the death of 4 infants, while another fire erupted in African country, Niger, that witnessed the death of more 26 children in a straw-made classroom. More to shed light, Islam Seed.
An inquiry was ordered after blaze sweeps through newborn care unit at government hospital in Indian Madhya Pradesh state, killing 4 newborns and 36 others were saved. It's seen as the latest in a string of hospital fires in the country this year that have killed many. Chief Minister of the state has ordered an investigation into the fire that occurred Monday night. While an inquiry is still ongoing, authorities said that a short circuit might have caused the fire. Footage on local news channels showed angry parents protesting at the premises, alleging that instead of saving the children, the hospital staff had fled. On Twitter, condolences were offered to the families affected by Chuhan Chief Minister, saying that the unfortunate death of those children is an unbearable pain. He announced a compensation of $5,400 for the family of the victims. On the other side of the globe, another fire destroyed a school in southern Niger after straw and wood sheds to serve as classrooms flamed, killing 26 school children and 13 others injured in school in Maradi city. Secretary General of Niger Teachers Union Arzika said his union had alerted officials to the danger of straw and wood classrooms after the Niamey fire, at a time when Niger President Mohamed Bazoum recently promised to replace the wooden structures.
Tunisia faces an environment crisis that threatens the citizens' health and creates a danger in the city of Sfax. President Kais Saied met with the Tunisian Interior Minister and Environment Minister to cross-examine the issue, while the population show its worry about the problem. Usama Yadi reports.
Environmental disaster threatens Tunisia amid the series of crises the country is living. Tones of woeful overfill the streets of Sfax, which loads public opinion and general concern that led to direct clashes between citizens and security forces. Tunisian Environment Ministry has recently announced resuming controlled discharge in the region of Kana in Sfax to delimit environmental and health dangers, after the last claims of citizens in concern of the polluted areas that are considered as a new crisis for the government of Kais Saied. Interior Ministry of Tunisia refuted the death of an individual due to tear gas used by security forces during classes. On his behalf, Tunisian President Kais Saied organized a meeting with his Prime Minister and Interior Minister to discuss the issue, as he ordered immediate interference to dissolve the new problem.
We are meeting today to discuss the issue of waste discharge in the city of Sfax, knowing that the matter has a subjective side. But there are many reasons that led to this environmental situation. Also, this issue has an artificial side, because those who were rejected by history search for dustbin because they are in the dustbin of history.
Kais Saied's government is currently facing a series of political crises this year, as he imposed exceptional procedures, and the population is in front of another critical situation that comes with a number of social and economic problems.
The COP26 Climate Summit continues in Glasgow, Scotland, with the objective of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees thanks to the commitment of the countries that have ratified it, including Algeria, which above all defends the principle of equality between developed and emerging countries in the area. More to follow with Melissa Khimilat.
The Glasgow summit enters its second week amid hopes that carbon neutrality will become the new reference for world leaders, provided that it is supported by implementation plans. The poorest countries, which pay the price for the devastating effects of global warming, even though they bear the least percentage of responsibility for it, hope to achieve through the summit a solution to the issue of financing adaptation projects. Algeria's participation falls within international obligations as a party to the climate agreement, an opportunity to convey the voice of Algeria and the African continent as it is the most affected by the phenomenon of climate change. Algeria pleads for the need to ensure the necessary funding for the implementation of various projects aimed at reducing carbon emissions, as well as the transfer of technologies related to this field, and asks to transfer new technologies for the benefit of developing countries and African countries in particular, so that they can implement the projects necessary for the fight against greenhouse gas emissions in a more efficient way. This letter emphasized the necessity of the developed countries, which are historically speaking at the origin of the greenhouse effect phenomena, to honor the commitments set out in the United Nations Framework Convention, in particular with regard to the financing of projects which contribute to the fight against climate change, affirming that this represents an extremely pressing question.
Coronavirus continues its spread around the world after the death of surpassed 250 million infections. The World Health Organization considered the outcome to exceed the official statistics by 2 or 3 times. Europe remains the area with the highest infections toll. Nabil Khazin.
The virus can be fatal for around 5,000 people in Europe by the next February. A new warning from the World Health Organization said the rates of transmission of COVID-19 in Europe has become alarming. A fear from a fourth wave started to rise. The organization considers that the high number of infections is due to insufficient vaccination coverage and the easing of measures against COVID-19. Data from the World Health Organization in the European region indicate that recoveries linked to COVID-19 have doubled more than once within a week. Information about the coronavirus and its new variant still draw attention, attract interest, and raise questions in all world countries. Questions about the new variant named Hey aroused in many countries, including China and the US. The world's interest in the new coronavirus began after China announced it discovered it, stressing that it threatens the health of the Chinese people and represents a danger to them. China was forced to close one of its cities in the north of the country to control the upcoming danger. Despite attempts to control the outbreak of the coronavirus, new variants of the epidemic are emerging day after day.
The United States Supreme Court will decide on Tuesday whether a decade-old congressional decision to exclude Puerto Rico from a federal program that benefits low-income, all blind and handicapped people is legal. Marwa reports.
The Supreme Court is considering the government's appeal of a lower court decision declaring Puerto Rico's exclusion from the Supplemental Security Income Program unconstitutional. The appeal was originally issued by the administration of Republican former President Donald Trump. Joe Biden, his Democratic successor, has sustained the call while also encouraging Congress to expand supplemental security income to Puerto Rico. Jose Luis Valo Madero, a Puerto Rican resident, earned supplemental security income funds while living in New York but lost eligibility when he moved to Puerto Rico in 2013. Last year, the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston found in favor of Valo Madero, deciding that Puerto Rico's supplemental security income exclusion violated this section of the United States Constitution, mandating that the laws apply equally to all individuals. Supplemental security income benefits are available to citizens of the United States who reside in any of the 15 states, Washington, D.C., and the Northern Mariana Islands, but not in Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, or Guam. In June, Biden stated the current law's denial of supplemental security income benefits to inhabitants of Puerto Rico is inconsistent with my administration's policies and values, and he called lawmakers to change the law to include the territory. Following the passage of building legislation, House Democrats are working to finalize a major social spending bill, which contains a provision extending benefits to Puerto Rico in the latest form. The Supreme Court's final decision will have less impact if that legislation succeeds.
And finally, the SpaceX Dragon Endeavour capsule returned to Earth after being in space for around 200 days and in an eventful 6-month stay on the International Space Station. Nabil again.
It's finally over. A NASA live broadcast showed the SpaceX Dragon Endeavour capsule landing Monday off the coast of Florida. The Dragon capsule was able to withstand the dizzying descent despite being slowed by unfavorable weather conditions. The Dragon capsule was able to withstand the dizzying descent despite being slowed by unfavorable weather conditions and Earth's atmosphere. The 4 astronauts therefore left the space station before the replacement team arrived to take over. A recovery vessel will retrieve the capsule, and the astronauts on board will be brought back to land via helicopter. The crew 2 astronauts conducted hundreds of experiments and helped upgrade the station's solar panels.
Crew 2 has accomplished a lot of great science, grown vegetables, done a lot of chemistry and science experiments, biology experiments, physics, astronomy, broad range of things they've been able to accomplish. Over 250 experiments are running currently on board the International Space Station.
In space, a problem was detected with the capsule's waste management system, cutting off the astronauts' access to a toilet from the time the hatch closed.
What you're seeing, the toilet on board the Crew Dragon vehicle has has not been used for the past time docked to station. In terms of the risk there's not a lot of risk other than what you said in terms of the comfort piece of it, right? But keep in mind that as astronauts, when you launch, when you land, when you go out on spacewalks, you're wearing a diaper because you're in these suits for quite a long time.
A SpaceX all-tourist crew had also encountered a similar waste-related problem during a September flight, which triggered an alarm system. The capsule landed in the Gulf of Mexico, marking the end of the Crew 2 mission. The Crew 2 mission astronauts and Dragon spent 199 days in orbit, the first US spacecraft to reach that milestone.
Exposed to significant competition against globally standardized competitors such as Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and Disney Plus, RTL Group aims to put a greater spotlight on its core brand, RTL, which is set to compete with Netflix. Marwa will report again.
The release of RTL Plus represents a significant challenge for Netflix in the United States. The new European platform has decided to offer different forms of entertainment and education, in addition to a service similar to Netflix. This week, Germany's RTL launched RTL Plus, a leading streaming service that combines videos, e-books, podcasts, digital journalism, and music. RTL Plus is Netflix's strongest challenge to the crown of streaming movies and series in years. 60,000 video hours, including historical dramas and police thrillers, are available on the new streaming platform, as well as thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, and electronic newspaper. The site broadcasts over 73 million tracks regarding to music and singing. For the next 6 months, the video service was offered first, followed by the rest of the services. By 2026, the department plans to invest 3 times as much in content as it currently does, expanding its annual investment from 231 million to 692 million. The network has struck a deal to broadcast weekly German drama series, with the first episode set to air in January of next year.
Ending up with the sport news, the ex-legend, the Catalonia club Xavi Hernandez, was presented last evening at the Camp Nou as the new Barca coach alongside family president Juan Laporta. Xavi spoke for the first time as Barcelona manager in front of a big crowd who received him in a spectacular manner. Let's watch. And before we finish, let's have a reminder for our main top stories. President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, states that Algeria won't tolerate any interference in the domestic affairs. Within an exclusive interview with the Algerian Foreign Minister and National Community Abroad, Ramtal Amamra clarified that the goal behind the Ambassadors' Conference is to save Algeria from the situation. And finally, the risk of Ethiopia descending into widened civil war is only too real. To this end, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. Take care of yourself. Good night.